The rain tapped softly against the cafe windows, the kind of rain that paints silver streaks across the sidewalk and makes the world feel both smaller and infinite at the same time. The warm glow of the overhead lights cast everything in amber, giving the little corner cafe a cozy hum that clashed delightfully with the chill outside. Cinnamon and espresso mingled in the air, wrapping me in a comfort that felt almost sacred. I sat at the corner table, leaning against the window, wearing my usual hoodie and dark jeans. Nothing flashy, nothing worth noticing. Just a man trying not to be noticed. But behind this ordinary exterior, there's a life most could never imagine. I've built an empire, a tech company that touches millions, a bank account that people whisper about in elevators. Yet here I was, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone who didn't know or care what I owned. Across from me, my daughter, Lily, perched on the cushioned bench, knees tucked under her, lost in her little world of paints and paper. Her golden curls caught the soft glow from the lights above, and her bright blue eyes were fixed on mixing yellows and pinks together. She hummed a tune I'd never heard before, a melody that somehow made the world feel lighter. "You're making quite the mess, little artist," I murmured, brushing a tiny smudge of paint from her cheek. "It's a rainbow dinosaur, Daddy," she said proudly, her grin splitting her face in two. I couldn't help but smile, even as my gaze flickered toward the door. Another date. 6th in 3 weeks. Each one had been painfully similar. Forced smiles, glances at watches, questions about houses, cars, and what kind of tech empire I ran. And every single one had recoiled when Lily reached for their hands as if they'd stumbled into a life they weren't equipped to hold. The little bell above the door jingled. I looked up automatically. She stepped in quietly, folding her umbrella with care. Damp strands of blonde hair clung to her face, soft and understated, framing features that were elegant in their simplicity. No dramatic makeup, no designer purse, just presence. She glanced around, eyes landing on me, and for a moment I hesitated. There was something about the way she moved that felt familiar, yet completely unknown. "You're Ethan?" she asked softly. "Yes," I said, standing. "Sophie?" She smiled, extending her hand. "Sorry I'm late. The train was slow in the rain." I gestured to the chair across from me. "No problem at all. Please, sit." Her eyes immediately found Lily, and that's when I knew she wasn't like the others. "And who is this little artist?" she asked, kneeling slightly to meet Lily's gaze. "I'm Lily. I'm painting a dinosaur," she announced, holding her tiny creation for inspection. She leaned closer, elbows resting on the table. "A rainbow dinosaur? That's magical." "Do you want to help?" Lily asked, eyes wide with innocent curiosity. I froze. No one had ever asked to engage with her first. No one had ever looked at her like a person worthy of attention before me. No menus, no questions about work, no awkward attempts to impress me. Just Lily. She dipped her finger into the yellow paint. "Only if I get to paint the sunshine behind him," she said. We laughed together, and for the first time in weeks, maybe months, I let my guard down. Over the next 15 minutes, conversation flowed gently. I gave vague details about my work in tech. She asked no further questions. Instead, she focused entirely on Lily, her favorite colors, the books she adored, even wiping a tiny sneeze from her nose without a hint of hesitation. And then she glanced at her watch. Her smile faltered. I have to go," she said suddenly, standing. My chest tightened. "Is everything all right?" She hesitated. "Something urgent. I really wish I could stay longer." I felt a rush of something unexpected. Not fear of being alone, but fear of letting go of the first person who had not looked at me like a portfolio,
who had laughed with my daughter before even asking my last name. I reached for her hand gently. "Don't leave," I said softly. "You're the only one who came." She glanced down at our hands, and I saw something unspoken pass between us. Warmth, curiosity, the faintest tug of fate. Later that evening, the rain had softened to mist. The city shimmered under wet streetlights as I tucked Lily into bed. She still clutched the napkin Sophie had used to draw a tiny dinosaur beside her rainbow creation. "Did you like her?" I asked her, smoothing the blanket over her. "She was kind. She talked to me," she murmured, eyes dropping. I chuckled softly. "She even made your dinosaur fly." She mumbled something half asleep, and soon her breathing evened out. I stayed beside her, watching the rise and fall of her chest, but my mind couldn't stop replaying Sophie. The gentle tilt of her head, the way she held Lily's tiny paintbrush as though it were a treasure. She hadn't asked about my wealth, hadn't tried to impress me, hadn't stayed long, but she had left a mark I couldn't erase. I sank into my chair later, staring at the crumpled coffee receipt with her name scrawled across it. No phone number, no last name, just Sophie. Different, honest, unassuming, someone I couldn't let slip away. I didn't know then that finding her again wouldn't be simple, that reconnecting would test every part of me, my fears, my walls, even the way I had learned to love. Subscribe for more stories like this, because some encounters change everything, even before the first word is spoken.
The next morning, sunlight sneaked through the blinds, painting stripes across my office desk. The city outside hummed with life, indifferent to the little storm of thoughts in my head. I should have been focused on emails, meetings, and deadlines, but instead, my mind replayed yesterday. Sophie, Lily, that tiny rainbow dinosaur, the way Sophie had smiled without pretense. I poured a cup of black coffee, the aroma grounding me just enough to remember. I was a CEO, a man with responsibilities, a man who shouldn't get distracted by fleeting encounters. And yet, Lily bounded into my office, backpack swinging, hair a tangled golden mess. "Daddy! Daddy! I drew another rainbow dinosaur, and guess what? I put a castle next to it this time." I glanced at her doodle, already taped to the fridge, and then at the fresh one in her hand. "That's incredible, Lily. Very creative. But did you miss breakfast?" She shook her head, eyes sparkling. "I did it super fast so I could tell you. And Daddy, can we see her again?" My stomach clenched. "Her?" "Yeah, Sophie, the lady who painted the sunshine." I froze. My mind raced. How do you explain to a 6-year-old that grown-ups don't always know how to find the people who matter most? But Lily's eyes were wide, hopeful, and innocent. "We'll see her again, I promise," though I wasn't sure how yet. That afternoon, I tried. I scanned the streets around the cafe where we'd met, walked past the rainy corners, checked her usual coffee spot, even asked the barista if a Sophie came in yesterday. Nothing, no trace. It was as if she had been a fleeting sunbeam, warming us for a moment, and then disappearing. Hours later, my assistant buzzed my phone. "Ethan, a meeting in 20 minutes. I nodded, still distracted, my thoughts drifting to Sophie. Why couldn't someone like her exist in my world without complications? Someone who saw Lily first, who didn't care about the cars, the office, the fame. Someone real. That evening, Lily fell asleep, holding her crumpled napkin dinosaur, and I sat by the window, city lights blinking like distant stars. I thought about fate, coincidence, and how some encounters were too important to leave to chance. Then, just as I was about to set my phone down, a notification pinged, a message. No number, no profile picture, just, I left something for Lily at the cafe. Don't open it alone. Sophie. My heart skipped. My pulse quickened. That voice, that handwriting, that unmistakable presence. She hadn't vanished. She wanted to reach out, but carefully, deliberately. I glanced at the clock. The cafe closes in 15 minutes. Perfect timing. Dangerous timing. I grabbed my jacket, checked Lily. She was sleeping, dreaming of rainbow dinosaurs and castles, and rushed out. The cafe smelled faintly of coffee and rain-soaked streets. I approached the corner table where we'd met. There it was, a small wrapped package tied with a ribbon the exact shade of her eyes. I picked it up, hesitated. Should I open it? Should I wait for her? My fingers trembled slightly. Then a familiar voice. "Did you come alone?" I turned. Sophie was there, umbrella in hand, her coat damp from the mist. Her eyes held that same warmth and gentle curiosity. She smiled faintly, like she had been expecting me. "Yes," I said. "I had to see this through." She nodded. "Open it. It's for Lily, but I thought you should see it too." Inside was a small, handmade book. Crayon drawings of dinosaurs, castles, and sunshine decorated every page. At the very end, a note. For Lily, keep imagining, always. And Ethan, thank you for letting me meet her. I felt something shift in me, something I hadn't felt in years. Gratitude, relief, fear, all of it at once. Sophie smiled again, stepping closer. "You're different than I expected. Not what I thought I'd find in a man like you." I swallowed. "And you're nothing like I expected either." We stood there, rain misting over our shoulders, a quiet moment stretching into something fragile, yet undeniable. Fate, coincidence, and a little courage had brought us here. But neither of us knew how complicated it would get. How love, life, and responsibility would test everything that felt so fragilely perfect. Tomorrow, we'll see if Sophie's world collides with mine, or if this connection was meant to remain a beautiful, fleeting moment. Some meetings change everything, and some secrets are only revealed when you least expect them.
The next morning, the city was alive in a soft drizzle. I held the little handmade book from Sophie, flipping through the pages with Lily still asleep beside me. Each crayon stroke, each castle, each rainbow dinosaur felt like a bridge connecting three hearts that had never met before yesterday. But reality crashed back in like an unexpected storm. Work emails, calls from investors, urgent decisions, they all waited for Ethan, the CEO. And yet, a part of me refused to let Sophie slip away again. I called the cafe. "Has Sophie been here?" The barista smiled knowingly. "She's around. Left this for you yesterday. Guess she wanted to see if you'd come." I frowned. She was close, yet distant, keeping that perfect balance between mystery and connection. By noon, Lily woke up, rubbing her eyes. "Daddy, can we meet her today, please?" I hesitated, but Lily's innocent insistence reminded me that some moments don't wait. "All right, let's go." The cafe door chimed as we walked in, and there she was, Sophie, sipping coffee, hair damp from the rain, eyes scanning the room until they landed on us. A small, nervous smile curved her lips. Lily ran to her, throwing her arms around Sophie. "I missed you!" Sophie knelt down, hugging her tightly. "And I missed you too, little sunshine." I stood there watching the two most important people in my life connect effortlessly. Sophie glanced at me, a silent question in her eyes. "And you?" I walked forward, heart pounding. I'm glad you're here."
We talked, laughed, shared small secrets, and slowly a fragile trust grew between us. The tension of yesterday, the fear of disappearing, the unknown, it all melted into something delicate but real. But life doesn't pause for fairy tales. Just as we were settling, my phone buzzed. An urgent call from the office. My responsibilities loomed like shadows I couldn't ignore. I had to leave, but not without a promise. Sophie, this isn't easy. My life, my work, it's complicated. But I want this, us, to work. I promise I'll make time. I'll make it right. She nodded, understanding everything without needing words. Then don't make promises you can't keep. But let's try, Ethan. Let's really try. Lily clapped, squealing, "Yay, family time!" And for the first time in years, I felt something I hadn't dared to feel. Hope. Real, unshakable, thrilling hope. That evening, I stood by the window of my apartment watching the city lights blink like stars. The little book sat on the table, a reminder that some encounters were meant to change your life forever. Sophie's message, Lily's laughter, the rain-soaked street where I first saw her smile, it all led to this moment. A moment that proved some meetings, some chances, some connections are too precious to ignore. And maybe, just maybe, love doesn't wait for perfection. It waits for courage. Will we really manage to balance love, work, and family? Or is fate ready to test us again? One thing's for certain, life just got a lot more colorful and unpredictable.